You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sara Troy, and my guest today is April Ria Qureshi-Davidson. I am sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm terrible at pronunciation, but we know her as April Ria. What does she do? Well, she helps 3 steps of mindfulness in meditation for business leaders. You know, business leaders very often are so busy leading and they're so busy running around and trying to hit the mark that they forget to breathe, they forget to take time for themselves, and they forget that a little meditation here and there can really, really set them back into being able to see things more clearly, have a better insight, have more awareness of the rewiring of the brain and get rid of that stress. So this is what April is going to do for you today. If you're a leader or just simply a leader in your own life, she's going to share with you some wonderful meditation tips and myths and techniques. And I think at the present moment, we've started off 2020 with a great deal of enthusiasm, only for it to be, oh, maybe there's another war, or maybe there's this, and there's a fire over there, and a flood over there, and everybody's got a goal to meet and a resolution to meet. And we've already stressed ourselves out, haven't we, April?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And it's where you want to put your attention in life and in business.
Mm.
And your energy is going to follow that attention. So, when we head into a new year, people want to make resolutions
Mm.
and they want to set goals. And goals are great. I think it gives you direction and purpose. But what I like to bring into the forefront is, what is the intention behind that goal or
Yeah.
goals? And so what is the feeling that you want to bring into that? And with goals are usually a linear,
Mm-hmm.
they're very linear, they have an endpoint, and they're very specific. Whereas an intention, so how you want to be in that goal, is an expansive and open way of being. And so it can be specific, but at the same time, it allows for flow and
Yeah.
ease. And
The flexibility.
yeah, exactly. And it's a way, it's a felt sense, and it's a way of being within those goals. And
Mm.
so yeah, just that.
Well, I love the fact that you put the word feel up there. So many people are busy thinking, and a thought always goes, yes, but what if? Oh yeah, but, and there's always the but or the what if or this or that, because it's a computer. That it's generating the what ifs and could we do it this way, that way. If you don't bring the feeling into it, you can be very, very misguided by the thoughts, can't you?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, as business leaders and entrepreneurs, and maybe you're just you're like a leader in your life. Maybe you're a parent. There we get caught up in the thoughts and ideas,
Mm.
right? And like for me, I'm a very creative person, and I come up with ideas all the time. But not all of them are good ideas. Not all of them are great, and not all of them are worth implementing. And
Right.
so, coming into that space where you can get in touch with a feeling and actually use meditation or mindfulness, or just coming into the present moment, which is what mindfulness and meditation is, to ground yourself, to settle into the physical body, and to get in touch with how that feeling, how that idea, how those thoughts are resonating with you right now. And I think I mentioned earlier, like, where are we going to put our attention in that? So
Yes.
is this worth putting all of our focus, all of our energy into? And, in a business sense, what's the return? And in a personal sense, it's like, yeah, so what am I going to get out of this?
Mm.
And I think when you have that intentional, you're consciously choosing from there. right? And so you're setting yourself up for exactly what you want in the end.
Yeah. You talked about setting goals and the linear. The thing is with the linear, it's one step in front of the other. But very often we're looking down at the steps. We're not paying attention to what's around us. For me, I look at blueprinting. I'm a creative idea person as well. And I create it as a blueprint, like a plan. But a plan is just that. It's an intention. It's a plan. I would like to do this. But really, what is it? What's your end goal? And very often how we're going to get there is going to do the two-step along the way, right? Nothing goes in that simple straight line, and you've got to learn to dance. And taking that breath and having that meditative approach to something is a way that you can get up and dance without feeling so fretful about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's exactly that. Like, when we set out to achieve a goal, we think it's a straight line, but
Mhm.
in reality, we take curves, we take,
Excuse me.
all these diversions. For rowing a boat, let's say,
Hmm.
the wind could come in and
Yeah.
push us off course. But with that intention, we come back into the center. And when we find ourselves blown off course, we can go, oh, we can become aware of what's going on. So awareness is that first step into mindfulness and having that meditative quality as a leader. So becoming aware and then resetting the course back to where we were. And so
Getting
uh,
back on track, so to speak, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. And don't you find that with a lot of business leaders, that this it's my son, for instance, has his own restaurant, and I remember saying to him before he opened, it's going to be like having twins. And when I came back from Toronto, he'd been open a few months, and he said, "You lied." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "It's like having triplets." you know, and he's just realizing how many balls he's got to juggle in the air all the time. But in the first year, he would get himself kind of rather worked up with it. Now he makes time to go to the gym, to do the things that calm him down, to read the things that send to him, so that he doesn't get so stressed out. And that's something so important as a leader or a business owner, isn't it? You've got to have time for yourself, because if not, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're clear on what it is that's important, then all that stuff that takes up time in your calendar, in your headspace, all that sort of floats away, and then you have time for the gym. And
Mhm.
so you have time for healthy eating, you have time to spend with your family, you have time for friends, hopefully.
Mhm.
And that's it's interesting how when we get really clear, we can, like, people think they don't have time for this or that. And
Yeah.
we've put, what I notice is that society nowadays is like really clear. It's like, okay, we need that physical health. We need to be eating healthy. We need to be going to the gym or doing walking or going out in nature and all those kinds of things. And now it's the mental fitness, right? So making time for that. And as busy professionals, we kind of like, oh gosh, how are we going to fit this in? But
Yeah.
when you get really clear on what it is that you want in life, what the intention is, what the outcome is, then all those things that aren't important are going to start to float away. You're going to get more confident in saying no to the things that aren't serving you, and you'll have more time for all those yeses.
Yep.
And
You learn to
it's,
delegate too, right?
yeah,
It's a
exactly.
big one, because trust comes into it, of course, as a leader. And I think, a lot of leaders fret, why can't people see my vision? And the thing is that you've just started painting, your vision on the board. You know what the end picture you want it to look like, but they're just following each stroke that you do.
Mm.
So invite them along that journey of discovering what that picture is. And don't say, but can't you see it yet? Can't you see it yet? Because now you're creating stress for you and for them. And
Hmm.
right? Because, oh, I can't see it. Does that mean you're going to fire me?
Well, when you work in teams, right, it's a co-creative process, and leaders, in the old sense of it, we're like, I'm here on the top, and
Mm,
kind of like, okay, this is the objective, and this is the company goal, and then just go ahead and implement, right? But I think that quality of having a leadership from within the team gives a different perspective to people, because you're right in there with them, while you may not be that micromanagement kind of thing, but you're in there with them. They see you, you see them, and you can be in the moment with them, and have that co-creative process, right? So
Let it flow.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And then having that ability to help people in the moment. So it's like,
Mm.
you know what, boss, like I can't see this right now. Like, where are we going with this? And then when you're there, when you're open and you're in with your team, you have that confidence in yourself to allow others. So it's that letting go of control, which a lot
Yeah.
of leaders have a lot of trouble with, is letting go of control and recognizing that I have my expertise, you have your expertise, and like we're better off together that way. So so allowing your team to do those tasks, those items that you can do them and you'd probably be great at it, but is that where your best attention is put at this time? And so empowering others in leadership is a huge value for everyone. And then within that, you can co-create all along the way. So as as we're rowing our boat, say we're rowing like a traditional native canoe, it's teamwork, right? And
Yes.
if people are off track and they're not rowing in sync, then we got to come back and reset. And this is an opportunity for everyone to have an input so that you have, again, that's the clarity around your values, around your mission, and what are we all doing this for, and who's doing what, and who are we accountable to, and all those things that come along with being a leader in a team. And so I think these days it's really important to have clarity within yourself first so that you can be clear for everybody else. And then it's just way more fun, right? And
Yeah.
people get to, we, as leaders, we are leaders because there was something in us that was telling us that we needed to do something for ourselves. There's like this energy of like being independent, and so how, it's so beautiful when you can give that to other people. And the people who want that, and then the people who need direction, yeah, just give them the direction, just give them the list, right? And just be really clear, and having that ability to lead from within, I think is really, really important these days, because people, they can go work anywhere. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you take a movie set or a theater set, you've got whatever the play is or the script is, you've got the director, you've got the producer, but then the cameraman, it brings their expertise to it on how they see the vision, the lighting, the costumes, the scenery. Everybody, I kind of call it knowing your instrument in life and bringing it to the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Where an orchestra is nothing without everybody's input of their instrument. And then it's finding the harmony,
Mm.
the synchronicity, and there's always going to be somebody that will be a soloist, or one person that's going to be the lead actor or the lead actress, but everybody's role is important. And I think as a leader, you're creating other leaders in their own right, aren't you? That's what you're doing. You're inspiring them and inviting them to become a leader in whatever department or area they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's being mindful. It's being aware of, who you are on the inside, and allowing the wisdom of the body, the wisdom of, the energy that you bring into the world to flow, right? And it's like you say, it's that instrument, right? And so if your
Mm,
keys, if you imagine yourself, like I'll use the example of a flute, right? Like if you imagine yourself like this mind body complex as a flute, and your energy is stuck, like the keys are stuck, or maybe there's
yeah,
some like, dust or something inside the flute, you're not going to flow properly. And
right.
so, using meditation and breathing techniques, and, just being mindfully aware on a day-to-day basis is going to help clear all that out so that you can, be a top performer, and really, like you say, like bring that into the whole symphony of life, which is
Exactly.
beautiful.
That we talk to people about focus, and everybody thinks you've got to be laser focused. That's not the kind of focus. I like what you're saying. You've got three simple mindful steps, practices that business leaders can and entrepreneurs can use to disrupt the thoughts that cause stress and rewire the brain for awareness, insight, and clarity. And the thing is, it's not focus we want so much as like, a laser beam on something. It is the mindfulness to be aware of those stresses coming up, or this coming up, or that needing to be addressed in yourself and even in your team. And so what are those 3 mindfulnesses that you need to have?
Well, it's a very simple formula that I like to use. It's called ABC of mindfulness. And so A is awareness. And so let's say you're in a situation and, there's a lot going on, whether you're like a solopreneur, service professional working at home, or you're a leader in a team, there's bound to be something that comes up that throws a wrench into the cogs of the day. And so becoming aware of what's actually happening. And so what happens is that we go into stress, right? We go into stress mode. And when we do that, we can't properly make any decisions, because what happens is our nervous system goes off into a fight or flight. And when we do that, all of our energy goes to keeping us safe. And so what happens is all of the blood and all of the energy flushes out of the brain and just goes straight into the limbs, so that we can literally fight or flight. So, and this is really subtle, right? Like it's actually like, it's interesting because as a society, we kind of live in this low level. A lot of us live in this low level state of stress, and it's become the new norm. And so the stats are like 80% of the workforce is suffering from stress-related symptoms that manifest in the physical body. And so when that happens, the first thing you want to do is become aware. And becoming aware means to recognize that you're actually having this stressful moment and tuning into what's going on in the body. So my shoulders are up, my head is starting to feel some pressure. I can't feel the bottoms of my feet, like that physical sensation of being connected to the earth is gone. And, maybe you're sweating or whatever, and you can't make proper decisions. So becoming aware of all of that. And then from there, B is breathe. And, the body will naturally breathe on its own, which is a beautiful thing. But when we can, I want to say control, but that's not really what I mean. But when we can
in tune with the breath,
when we can be in tune with the breath and show it how we want it to operate, it's so powerful. And so just taking like 1, 2, or 3 deep breaths will help oxygenate the body.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to send oxygen back up into the brain so that you can start making better decisions. And, the blood that was flowing to the limbs to help you in that fight or flight is going back into the organs. It's going back and stimulating the whole system and bringing us back into a balance. So bringing the nervous system back into balance is what happens when you breathe. And so it's really important to breathe into the belly, because oftentimes we're just shallow breathing into the upper chest. And so in those stressful situations, you want to take deep belly breaths. And I know from experience as a yoga and meditation teacher that it can be challenging for people, right? To actually allow, their chest and their abdomen to expand, right? And again, this is all like society's conditioning where, like we need a flat tummy. Like I can't allow my belly to hang out, but you know what? You're going to be way ahead of everybody else if you're comfortable with this, right? And so get comfortable with that feeling of expansion and contraction in the belly. And
breathing in the belly brings about balance.
Yeah, totally.
3 B's, right?
Yeah, totally. And so when we come into our bodies again, we connect with the breath. The nervous system and the brain start to come into harmony again. And then from there, C, the ABC of mindfulness, number C or letter C is choice. And then from there, we can make a choice about what we're going to do next. And it's a better decision because of all those things I just talked about, right? So you're aware, you're more relaxed, you're in tuned, and you can make a better decision than you could have 3 minutes ago when you were
panicking.
Yeah.
So it's either a panic choice, or it's a centered choice. Right?
Yeah. And you know what, I did this I did this little course at the high school here, the local high school, and there were some grade eights in my group, and I asked them, I said, so when you're stressed out, when you're anxious, how is your decision making process? And they were like, it's not good. Like they
Mm.
they
Mhm.
know, right? So we know that it's not a good place to be in to make decisions. And so when we breathe, we have choice. It's a beautiful thing.
And I don't care whether you're a leader or where you are, this is a fantastic thing to even use in anger management because, when we feel threatened, we're going to tense up, ready for the fight. Our breath shortens and the choices we make are knee jerk.
Hmm.
So, kind of being mindful, the body's in defense here, kind of relax, take some breaths, get back centered. Oh, I can make a better choice now and not react to what's just happened. So whether it's in business or whether just in life, it's just three very beautiful, simple tips on mindfulness that you can do literally within a couple of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. You can do it in a couple of minutes. You can do it while you're driving, but yeah,
Sometimes want to
so
close your eyes, so be careful
you
if you're
don't want to close your eyes while you're driving. That's the only caveat I have. So yeah, but basically you can just, take a bathroom break. Just say, you know what, I need to step
Mhm.
out of the room and just go to the bathroom and do this for yourself, or into your office or whatever you need to do, or go step outside and take a walk down the block or around the
Yeah.
block and
And
just,
I think that's where as a leader in a business, if you see somebody needing to do that, where are you? You're not at your desk. No, if that's what they're needing in order to process the work they're doing, and then you need to allow them that because that's their process. And then when they come back, something that's been bothering them, that they haven't been able to get a clear vision on, suddenly they can see it more clearly because they're not getting tensed up about it. So if you're seeing your team do that, it isn't about, well, where are they now? I mean,
mhm.
sometimes they might be taking advantage. Yes, you've got to be mindful of that too. But, it's people use a smoke break as an excuse, which we prefer that they go and do a meditative break rather than a smoke break, right?
Yeah.
And I think actually, if people actually did step into just the ABCs, oh, I'm aware I'm tensing up here, I'm getting stressed. Normally, I would take a cigarette, but instead, I'm just going to take a few minutes and I'm going to do some breathing. I'm going to, breathe into the belly and balance myself out, and I'm going to come back and make a choice that's better for me. And I think that would help a lot of people that are using smoking for a stress factor as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, so, one thing this year, going into a new year, like, what's one thing you can do differently, right?
Yes, that
Just,
benefits you because then you benefit everything else you do.
yeah, and it can just be one thing. So, there's something there that you said, and it brought to mind the story of Einstein, where he was trying to solve this mathematical or scientific problem, right? And, you can imagine him in his office or his studio or whatever, working away. Apparently, like he, just went at it for hours. But he apparently would go row his boat on the lake and
Hmm.
then just sit in the middle of the lake. And his greatest insights apparently were doing that. Just sitting in the middle of the lake, looking at nature and clearing the mind. And then there was another article I read where he was just playing some musical instrument or
Yes.
something, and then the the formula, or
Yeah.
the insight hit him, right? And so taking ourselves out of
Yeah.
whatever that situation is, and it could be a creative process, like you could be having fun, right? Like it
Yeah.
could be a positive thing, but for some reason there's a block, right? Like there's just this, like, we're not getting anywhere. And
Hmm.
recognizing that, right, having an awareness around that, like, you know what, we need a break here, and just go and find some inspiration from somewhere else, so that you can come back with that renewed vigor, that
Right.
renewed energy. And so that's really important.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
water, of course, is a conduit. It's just a conduit for energy. I find when I'm near water or near trees, I find that it's a wonderful tapping into your energy and just evening you out. And of course, music in the frequency, it raises your own frequency and it takes you into a more harmonic state
Mhm.
of being. That's where clarity to come in. And another thing that I find a lot of young people are doing is game boarding. It's let's get a game out and just let's play a game, and everybody's into the game, so they're de-stressing, but at the same time they're igniting their mind, right? They're getting stimulated, and a lot of creativity can come out of that. So I think as a leader, you've got to be very, very creative on how you conduct your team, and recognizing what particular techniques will help.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's not going to be one size fits all, but wouldn't it be great if the start of the day, as people come in, before you sit at your desk half asleep with your coffee, how about everybody stand up? All right, let's be aware of where we are. Let's everybody take a deep breath. On this day, I'm going to be, I'm in my belly. I'm feeling balanced, and now the choices that I make will be clear in front of me. I mean, it's a wonderful way to start the day in any business.
I think it's great. And it just brings a grounding quality into the day, right?
Yes.
So much of our energy is spent outside of ourselves, right? So we're so externally oriented in this world, in this society. It's great to turn that inward and, just ground literally through the feet. If you're able to take your shoes off at work, I highly recommend it. If you work in an office, just take your shoes off and just really feel the earth between your toes, beneath your feet, and connecting with that sensation at the bottom of the feet. It's going to really just bring some calm into your world, and it's very beneficial.
Now let's talk about your meditation techniques. You teach yoga. There's a lot of myths about meditation. I'm not a person who does traditional meditation. For one, if I got down on the floor, I'd need a crane to get me back up again. I'm very much out in the nature, the wind, the trees, the everything else. But, meditation is very, very beneficial if you can get into it, because it's another way of centering yourself, isn't it? Of calming down, releasing, and tuning in. But what is nidra? Yoga nidra, if I'm pronouncing that right, meditation.
Yeah, yoga nidra nidra means sleep. And so, yeah. And so yoga nidra is a sleep-based meditation where we remain consciously awake. And so it's a guided meditation that you receive energetically from a lying down position. And so one of those myths, and you pointed it out wonderfully, Sarah, is that, people think that you have to be like sitting in this perfect posture on the floor in lotus, right?
Yes.
And that's not true. And so you can be meditating almost anywhere. And so with meditation, my goal is to remove barriers for people, because meditation is actually a natural state for all of us. It comes with the download, right? Like it's already in there. And so I kind of liken it to when you get a new computer or you get a new smartphone. It comes preloaded with all these apps and all these programs, and like how many of us actually use all of those, right? We probably only use a small percentage of those. And so meditation, being in a meditative state, being able to be contemplative in a focused way, it's already pre-programmed in here. But the reality is that we don't teach how to tune into that. And so that's what my mission is to remove all those barriers and allow people to recognize that it's actually part of our makeup to be this way. And so there was something you mentioned a moment ago.
Trees, nature, water.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. So when I'm coaching someone in their meditation lifestyle, bringing meditation into their lifestyle, it's about making it work for them, right? So how can we, what's the best time of day? For some people, it's right away in the morning as soon as they wake up, even before they get out of bed. For other people, it's at 2:00 in the afternoon, where we kind of, we have that little dip in the day where we're all kind of like, oh, just a couple more hours, right? And so there's a choice. You can go have another coffee, or you can take a few moments and meditate. Or for some people, meditating when they get home, before dinner or after dinner, or right before bed as they're falling asleep. And so helping people find what works best for them. And so while there are ideal times, you want to find a time that works best for you, so that it becomes a habit, right?
Yes.
And so that it's easy, it's not a struggle. And so, excuse me, those are a couple of the myths out there. Excuse me.
Take a breath. Yeah, we've both got coughs right now. It's that time of year, right? Yes.
Yeah, all the windows are closed and the heat is on. So
yes.
Yeah. So just recognizing that it's already in us. It's easy to do once you know how, and just finding the right time and the place for you. And
It's kind of like being still, isn't it? For me, I'm a cosmic person. I'm not so much grounded as I'm up in the universe. And, I will go to bed and I will not sleep for the couple of hours because I'm floating.
mm,
I'm lying there, the body's relaxed, but my whatever, either the day or other thoughts or other things are just flowing, in and out of me. Now and again, I catch one and I look at it or just let it all flow. And, that can go over a couple of hours. I call it my twilight zone. It's sometimes I can become too intrigued with it and it can keep me awake. That's the dangers of it. But, sometimes it's just literally kind of the downloading of what needs to be had or the releasing of what has been. But
mhm,
I'm relaxed I'm allowing the brain and the thoughts and everything else just to do its thing. I can't hit the pillow and go to sleep. I'm not one of those kind of people. So
mhm.
for me, it's that night, where is it going? Just simply allowing, and it's that kind of that floating through it, and just letting be what will be.
Yeah, and I want to ask you a question about that. So even though you're in bed at your scheduled time, I'm assuming, and then you're in this state for a couple hours, like, do you find that you still wake up feeling refreshed and ready for the day, even though you're not asleep for those first couple
Well,
hours?
unfortunately, I have fibromyalgia, which fatigue is the number one nemesis because you never recharge your battery.
Mm,
So, I could sleep for 10 hours and still wake up tired.
mm,
So in my case, no. I never wake up feeling, yay, refresh, let's face the day, because my battery never fully recharges. But
mm,
I do find even if I did hit the sack straight away and went straight to sleep, somewhere in the night I would wake up and do that process.
mhm,
It's almost kind of something that my cosmic mind needs to do
mhm,
in order for me to get. And I've got a Fitbit now that measures my sleep, and it's interesting to watch when I go into a deep sleep. And I
mhm,
never go into a deep sleep early. Doesn't matter if I went to bed early. It always something that happens at certain times of the night. So
mhm,
I'm getting a few hours of the deep sleep. For normal people, this would be, oh God, good sleep. But unfortunately, just along with this, it's you're never charged up. But
mhm.
there's good nights and bad nights. But I do find it's interesting. If I went straight to sleep, I will still wake up at a certain period and go into that zone. So I
Yeah.
may as well go into the zone early, so I can get into a more frequent sleep later.
Yeah, and so that's a great awareness, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
I have the same thing. Like, I wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. It doesn't matter, and
Mm-hmm.
I just wake up, and like you, I just get these
Yep.
information downloads, right? Like, energy is flowing,
Mm-hmm.
and like you, I'm totally relaxed, and at ease. And what's interesting about this state is that it's a creative state, it's a flow state,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're doing, what you've mentioned, is that we're witnessing, right? So we're not
Yes.
attaching, although sometimes we can, like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one, and
We're
get
not
attached.
participating. We're viewing. Yes.
Yeah, and so taking that witness mind stand, where we're just allowing everything to flow through, and rather than attaching to it all. And yeah, that's kind of that's part of the meditation, the process
Mm.
of meditation, is being able to allow the thoughts that arise to flow through, and being able to witness them without attachment or judgment.
It
And
would
so
be
what
nice if we could record them, though.
oh yeah,
Some of them are so juicy. I want to remember that in the morning, and you don't.
you know what, the thing is, it's in there somewhere. And so
It's not in the conscious, in the subconscious somewhere, right? Yeah.
yeah, and if you need it, it's accessible, right? And
Yes.
so going into that meditative state again,
Yeah.
you can tap into that. And so
Now, again, that goes back to the allowing, doesn't it?
mhm,
It was a big lesson for me to learn allowing. I mean, I didn't realize that the things I was doing was already my cosmic self in that zone, because my human self was always fighting against it. No, but I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And
mhm,
my other self said, no, this is what I'm going to do. So we had a fight for a long time before I allowed myself to emerge with that cosmic self and just follow that. And when you step out of self and allow, and maybe your head is just too busy to meditate. It's going on. The problem is going on. For me, watch a movie, read a
Mhm.
book, remove yourself from your own mind.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then when you come back, you can see more clearly. Now you can get into that breathing, you can get into that meditative state. But don't try and do it if you're in a complete turmoil, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't. Your thoughts are just going like crazy. So for me, it's easier to just go and watch something, come back with a clearer head. I've
Mhm.
emptied that out. Now I can see things more clearly.
Yeah. And usually when people do that, they do some kind of relaxation. So there's traditional ways
Yeah.
of refocusing our attention. And that can be like chanting, it can
Hmm.
be, candle gazing, it can be just refocusing the attention on a mantra, like your own personal mantra. So
Hmm.
there's ways, excuse me, ways of doing that. But in the humanness of it, like you were saying,
Hmm.
in society, modern society, like we watch TV, we go to the movies, we go to the gym or whatever. And so those are all refocusing techniques, right?
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing because oftentimes, like, my kids will come home from school and they just want to chill, right?
Hmm.
They just want
Hmm.
to do something to
Don't
take
talk
their
to me
mind.
about homework. I've just come from school. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to do something to take their mind off the
Yeah.
day,
Mm.
and then refocus their energy for what they have to do next. And their schedule is not necessarily my schedule.
Hmm.
And so, there's, I think we talked about letting go, and so
Yeah.
letting go of that control, right? Of
Yes.
wanting to control, of the mind wanting to always be in control, and allowing the energy to flow. And people's intentions, like a person who smokes, their intention behind that, the intention behind that, whether it's conscious or not, is that they're trying to relax.
Yeah.
Or, when we come home and we have a couple glasses of wine,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, the intention there is, it may be about the wine. You may really love wine,
Hmm.
but the intention generally is that we're trying to relax. So there's a positive intention behind every action. And so when we're in tune with that, when we're aware of that, it allows us to view life in a different way. And so we can begin to let go, as you were saying, and just be, with that. And then again, coming back to choices, right? Making better choices for ourselves,
Don't you find that,
perhaps.
when you look to the olden days, everybody was a lot more physical? They walked places, and, a lot of it was either farmland or the way we cleaned things. I mean, we were much more physically interactive in things. And so, kind of by spending our body, our mind could be more relaxed. Now we have so many people. I mean, case in point, here, this is my office. I'm here 8 hours a day, and I have to make a point. I'm going to have to go for a walk, or today I'm not going to do anything. It's my walking, getting out time, clearing my head. But it's harder because we're not generating the body, which what it is designed to do. And
Hmm.
so that also can kind of back up the mind because we're not releasing.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, physical, uh, anytime, and we know this, right?
Yes, we know this.
We experience it ourselves because when we're tense or upset or whatever, if we can go out, go for a walk, get some fresh air, right? Like that term, let go and get some fresh air. It does the body wonders, right? So
Yeah.
moving the body, getting the energy flowing again, because when you're in a stressful situation, your energy is stuck, right? Like you're,
Yes.
like we were talking about earlier, you're in a fight or flight, and um, there's only one job when you're doing that. And so we got to get ourselves out of that, right?
Right.
And so being physical is a great way to do that. Going for a walk, going in nature, going for a swim, or going to the gym, whatever it's going to be, and or playing an instrument and just
Yeah.
getting the energy moving, right? So that we
And that's
can.
and you can incorporate the ABCs in that.
Oh, totally.
Where you start, what are you going to do? Pick up an instrument, go for a walk, do whatever you need to do. You have to be then conscious of your breathing while you're doing it. And
Hmm.
kind of walking and breathing is actually really good because you can tune it in with your steps, right?
Hmm.
And then, okay, I'm feeling clearer now. I can make a better choice about what I need to do next. So, it's not like I need to take the time out to do this, then go and do that. Well, you're telling me all these things. You can incorporate them. You can incorporate them and do them all at the same time.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? Like that's what's being in alignment, right? So you're
Mm,
bringing your mind, your body, and the energy body into alignment, right? And so when you can get efficient at that, then you're like ticking off all kinds of boxes at once, right?
yes.
So I mean, like I go to the gym. I go to the gym twice a week, and I do yoga a couple times a week, and I do Aikido, which is a Japanese martial art. And so when I'm at the gym, it's interesting because I look around and it's non-judgmental. I mean, it used to be a judgment, but
Mm.
these days I'm just like, oh, isn't that curious? But people are on their phones, or at our gym, they have little screens where people are watching TV. And I'm thinking, like, you know, it's so interesting to me that we go to the gym to accomplish, you know, this
Mm.
physical goal, but we're so distracted while
Yes.
we're in the gym, right?
Yes.
And how amazing it would be if we could just focus on the breath, come into the present moment, and really just tune into what's happening in the physical body um, as we're at the gym. You know, then you really know what's happening with your body and the mind. When we're tuned in that way, the mind has a chance to, like, we can set the mind aside for a little
Yes.
while, and just be in the sensation of, for example, being at the gym. So it's a curious thing that we do when we
Well,
distract ourselves, right? When there's
but
like
we're
a huge opportunity.
overstimulated.
Oh, totally.
And that's the problem. We need to unplug, you know, we need to unstimulate. You know, very often, you know, I will be doing a show and I'm editing and I forget I've still got the headphones on. And I'm just kind of zoned in on what I'm doing, and I'm doing it so automatically, you know, that I realize that part of me is off there floating somewhere.
Hmm.
Or, you know, I know I need a music day. You know, I'm feeling a little out of sync and I've just headphones are on, I'm playing music and I'm working and I'm not even aware I'm working because
Hmm.
the music's recentering me and I'm just being able to then do.
Hmm.
Right? But it's for me, I'm live in Victoria, which I'm sure you know, and I can walk into the city and walk along to the waterfront, and it's very windy here, and I like wind because I always feel it blows the cobwebs away from you. And it's that chance to just be aware of what your surroundings are.
Hmm.
Say hello to people as you cross them in the street. I'll go and treat myself to a cup of tea somewhere, and generally there's always somebody to talk to. And it's, you know, them be invitational. But I think we're so plugged in all the time and we're so overstimulated. And I
Hmm.
think we see that in our kids so much. And one of the things I think they're losing the art of is the art of play.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you were talking about board games earlier and
Yeah.
how kids are getting back to that, and it's that connection, right? Like that's
Yes.
that the humanness of it. We need that, right? Like
Yeah.
you it, you know, this is great. Like this tool that we're using, this business tool that we're using,
Yes.
this communication tool is amazing, right? Like commu- computers are amazing, and when they work properly, they're amazing. But the thing is that I personally like to view it as a tool. It's not a way of life, but it's a tool that enhances my life. And so, you know, the more time I can spend away from the computer, the less time that I have to, less time I spend
Yes.
looking at my phone, the happier I am, right? And
Yeah.
we need that. And there was something interesting you said there about, you know, just putting on your headphones and
Mm,
being in the flow. And
mm.
so when we're in a flow state, things are just happening, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very stimulating state where we can just totally be in the present moment. And this is what meditation is about, is
Right.
being in the present moment. So most of us live in the past, and we're always contemplating, dreaming about the future, and rarely are we actually in the present moment. And so when we're in a flow state, we're in a present moment, and you know, everything else just falls away. And so it's kind of like, if you've been to a concert, or you've been to like for me, I like ballet.
Hmm.
You know, when you're at a recital, and you just see that the dancer and the music and the steps are, you know, you can tell when a person is like trying to do it, but then there's that certain quality where you can just see that someone is like just totally into it, right?
They're not
And
doing it, they're being it.
they're totally being it,
Yeah.
right? The dance and the dancer have become one. And that's a beautiful state to be in. Like it's very relaxing, it's stimulating at the same time. And there's a lot to be said for uh, allowing allowing yourself to giving yourself time, you know, away from the screen, where you can just be in that flow state. And it could just be, you know, walking in the forest and being
Yeah.
in tune with the nature, right? Or even, like you said, Sarah, you know, walking down the street and saying hello to people. Like,
Yep.
you can be in flow in that, right? And it's
Right.
such a beautiful thing, because then you're connecting to people,
Yeah.
right? And you're hearing the birds and you're seeing the boats, and I know
And the
Victoria,
trees
and
are chatting to you, yes. Well,
yeah,
the
it's so
gift of the
beautiful.
present is in the now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we forget to live in the now. As you said, we're so busy planning tomorrow and oh God, carrying the heavy weight of yesterday. Well, if we take care of the now, we're not carrying any heavy weight over into tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? So the now is all you've got because the present is the gift. And then you're going to go into the next step and the next step and the next day and the next day with that beautiful gift all the time. It's, I recently went to go and see Cats, which of course is getting a terrible rap.
Oh,
Lots of jokes on it. Now, I saw this as a play back in the 70s in England, and I think there was a performance, a movie or something of it some years ago. The music is absolutely sensational, and there's a lot of criticism on it. There's only one particular scene I didn't particularly like, but the thing is, I think it's rather like when Moulin Rouge came out, people either loved it or hated it. Now, because I love dance, because I love music, because I love storytelling, and because I love people facing adversity and triumphing, I loved the movie. And
hmm.
I think, if you're a person who loves war movies, you're not going to love Cats. And, I think this is something that we need to look at in life, is that we love to paint everything with one brush.
Hmm.
Right? And we've got to understand I'm a true colors coach. So there's 4 key perspectives, 4 key personality traits, and we're each one of them going to love something more than the other.
Hmm.
And it's like, honor what you like, what works for you. If it doesn't work for the hubby or anybody else, or they're doing this and you're doing that and they're looking at you strange, I don't care. What works for you, you must honor you. And we get so caught up in it, oh, I've got to try and do that pretzel like they're doing, and you're just not designed for it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's our preferences, right? Like
Mm,
I like this, I don't like that. And when we're, from a yoga meditation standpoint, we're in duality then, right? We're like,
yes.
I'm pushing away from here and I'm gravitating over there, which puts us in a state of duality. And so becoming neutral through meditation allows us to come into the center where, okay, yeah, like I prefer, blue over purple or
Hmm.
whatever. But, just because there's purple out there in the world and someone else likes purple a lot, it doesn't mean that it doesn't change anything inside of me. Right. And
No.
so what happens is we allow other people to change how we feel about blue or purple. And, you know, excuse me, through through meditation, we begin to recognize the letting go of that and coming into unity and just recognizing that, it all exists in perfect harmony. And it doesn't really matter if it's blue or
Right.
purple. You can choose one or the other. But it doesn't mean anything about me, and it doesn't mean anything about you that you've chosen differently about me. And so
Right.
we attach to that, right? We get so caught up in all that.
It's
And
it's the same thing with the color of our skin or ethnicity. Strip
exactly.
all of that away. We're all got the same organs. And, ultimately, we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Raise a family, find love, be love, have security, be able to get out there and truly immerse ourselves in life. And,
Mhm.
my mantra for this year, and every year there's a focus that I have. And for me this year and everybody is, what are you doing to participate in the world? What are
Mm.
you doing to contribute? And if you, first and foremost, you must do for yourself, and it's kindness. Be kind to yourself. Learn to be aware of those 3 things. Learn to meditate in a way that suits you. Um, Look after yourself so that you then can contribute to your community. And we're so busy pointing the fingers at everyone else. And we realize the fingers, as you're pointing, 1, 3 are pointing back at you. You are responsible for you.
Mhm.
So you need to take the time to get to know you and what works for you, honor you, be the best you can be, because that's when you can contribute the most to everyone else.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was Gandhi who said, when you change the world changes along with you, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we want everybody to change. Like, oh, I wish my husband would change, my kids would change. Why can't they just,
Yeah.
blah? And but the reality is that we have to take a look at ourselves. And um, one thing that's really important that I like to share is that we can have all this knowledge of all of this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's accessible to everybody now. right?
Yes.
So there's no lack of knowledge out there, and yet the world is still in
Still on,
struggle.
still a little on the dumb side, yes.
Yeah, and so the what's really important here is that there's an experience created in life, and so I can tell you over and over again that you should try meditation, but until you know for yourself, until you experience it for yourself, until you
Willing
uh,
to participate.
willing to participate for a period of time, because it takes practice, right? And that's
Yes.
the other thing, is that people give it way too soon. uh,
Yes.
we want instant results these
Hmm.
days, and that is just not a reality.
We're not, we
uh,
don't, nothing is a downloadable app, is it? You've got to be willing to go through the process. And just like if you're taking a new nutrition, it
mhm.
takes 3 months for it to integrate into your body,
Yeah.
right? So you've got to at least give 3 months to everything that you do
Mhm.
and commit to it, right?
I suggest even longer. Like I suggest like 18 months to 3 years,
Hmm.
honestly. So, because results, um, like true results for change, like for
Oh,
transformation,
yeah. Yes.
you can begin to have results all along the way, but it takes time for it to stick. And, we kind of, we put too much on ourselves in the short term.
Yes.
We expect too much of ourselves in the short term, and we expect the same of others. It just messes
Right.
us up, and then we
Yeah,
don't
why
give
isn't
enough.
it working? And yeah,
Yeah,
why haven't I changed yet?
yeah, and then we don't give enough attention to
Yeah. Mm.
the long term benefits, the long term effects of whatever it is that we're doing. And meditation is one of those, and breathing in particular. Like, you can change your life by
Yeah.
changing your breath. And and you can do that in just a few moments, a few minutes. But the accumulative effect of doing a regular uh, breathing routine has enormous changes down the way. And it's a beautiful thing, and you won't know until you try, right? Like,
Right.
again, like, we can tell everybody, oh, it's going to change your life, but you don't know until you try. So I like to encourage people that while we have the knowledge, we also need the experience. And
Right.
so get out there and experience it, and dedicate the time to it, and recognize that it's a process, and that you know you have to be willing to invest in yourself,
Right. Oh
right?
God, yes, yes. If you look at a singer or a dancer or a sports person, they have to learn to manage their breath. I
Mhm.
interviewed yesterday somebody who used to be a parachuter, and he is an instructor now, and it's all about teaching people how to breathe to get the maximization out of whatever they're doing. And I'm an asthmatic, so breath is very important to me. I know
Mhm.
what it's like to go without breath, and it's rather scary. um, and it's being mindful of your breath. I think it's also take a breath, we say to people. It's very important, those 3 deep breaths, and how it literally makes you sit up better.
Mhm.
Posture centers your chakras, as you say, into the belly, let the belly expand. All of your body's getting that oxygen. Yes, you're clearer thinking, but your body's going to thank you for it.
Mhm.
And then everything about you can relax more now. So we take breath for granted. And I
Mhm.
think if we just understand it, it's not just there as an in and out to keep us going. It's in itself is an incredible tool to
Oh,
maximize what we can do.
totally. Yeah. I'm doing a little bit of work with local fire department. It's all
Mm.
volunteers here except for the chief, and I live in a small town on the west coast of Canada. And with volunteers, we love our volunteers, but having the breath power to
Mm.
sustain a call out to someone's house when you're carrying, first you've got the suit on, right? The
Yes, which is heavy
firefighting
enough.
suit. And then you've got your oxygen tanks and your mask, and just being able to manage all of that. So how much, how it really comes to light in situations like that, where, you know, you can see, literally you can see the difference in the amount of oxygen that one firefighter will use over another, based on their ability to breathe,
You're
right?
right.
And their ability to manage breath.
Hmm.
And so it's very interesting. And until so this is the other thing. It's like we wait until the very last moment to take any action, right? So we
Yes.
wait for something drastic to happen to take action. But what if um,
Prevention. instead of cure. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are
Stitch
old
in time,
adages. Yeah,
right?
these are old adages, right? But
Yeah.
they're true. And,
Yes.
so how, anyway, so what's one small thing that you can do this year that
Well,
might
I think
make a
what
difference?
three things you can do. I mean, what you give us isn't rocket science, it's common sense. But we've become so complex with high technology and systems and this and that. We forget about the simple things that have been there since the beginning of time, that we all have access to, that simply we have to be mindful of. And so why are we overcomplicating things so much? It's
That's the perfect point, because I look at all the apps, all the breathing apps and all the
yeah,
meditation, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like for me, it's overkill.
yeah.
And, it's useful to get started, but after a while, you're not going to need any of that stuff. After a while, if you have learned the proper techniques from an authentic teacher who knows the traditional scientific way of meditating, none of that stuff is necessary
Mm-hmm.
to be mindful and to tap into the power of meditation. So in the beginning, yes, it may be helpful, but it I'll use my mom's term, it boggles the mind, how much is out there, how much technology, and
Yeah.
again, it all focuses on the phone, right? And like you said, these are techniques that have been around for ages, since the beginning of time. And just being able to tap into them, it's so simple and straightforward, and we overcomplicate things so much, and we put
Mm-hmm.
so much time and attention into you know wanting to know what the end result is going to be. So we have an idea of what the end result is going to be, but we want to control it all the way along the way, and we don't.
Or we want to fast shoot to the end.
Yeah, and
And,
again,
and
that's
that's like fast shooting to the end of your chapter. Your book of life is made of many chapters, and each chapter is a stage for the next chapter.
mhm,
Why are you trying to hurry to the end?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and so my teacher's teacher, so when he was a teenager in India, he was 16 years old, and he came across this, we called him the guru, right? And the guru said, come and see me tomorrow, in my office upstairs. And so he went up, and he said, okay, I'm going to take you as a student, but for the next 9 months, all you're going to do is this one breathing technique. And so as part of the initiation, my teacher's teacher in Florida, all he did for 9 months, when he first started out in yoga and meditation, is he just breathed. It was
Mm-hmm.
just all breathing. And, and there, think about it, right?
Mm,
Like
yeah.
when my kids were born, my kids are teenagers now, we didn't have smartphones,
No.
and this was only like 10, 15 years ago, right?
Yes.
Like, and we didn't have any of that. And, that's what I'm getting at, is that it's in us to be able to do this. It's simple and straightforward when we allow it to be. And when you have, whether it's me or someone else, when you have a teacher who's guiding you all along the way, it just makes it so much easier. And it's
It
so
keeps you on
simple. And
point too, right?
it's,
Right.
yeah. And
Keeps you
so,
focused.
and it's that experience. And what being with a teacher does is, it's that shared experience of like, hey, you know what, I'm feeling this, I'm noticing that. And you can, so what's really interesting is that all of this is verifiable by
Mm-hmm.
anyone. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to verify this with your own experience,
Yeah.
is the key. And then, right, and then there's
Right.
no more questioning, there's no more like, I wonder if, right? It's just,
Yes.
you just know. And it's I
But it's also having somebody that's got your interest at heart, like your cheerleader, somebody that's got your back, somebody that's going to keep you on track, or, if you face an obstacle, is going to help you,
Mhm.
overcome it, and somebody that's going to kind of egg you on. And it's not like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," it's because not many people respond to that. It's a lot of the techniques out there and many things is to make you feel guilty if you don't do it.
Mm,
And that's the worst thing you can do, because that sets everybody completely back. They're so riddled with the guilt that they end up stopping altogether, right?
yeah.
So it's the encouragement. Okay, you're having trouble with breathing. Let's get back into sync.
Mhm.
You're having trouble in being aware. Okay, how can we tune into those triggers that
Mhm.
can make you be aware of the awareness? And it's, because how many people are not aware that they're
Well,
in stress zone?
yeah, yeah. And even for people who are aware, things like a vacation will pop up, and it's just like, okay, now how am I going to eat my proper food diet and get my exercise and do my meditation while I'm on vacation with my family and my kids, right? Like those are legitimate obstacles that come up. And
Yeah,
so how are you going to manage all that, right? Like how are you going to keep that routine for yourself so that you remain centered, you remain in alignment with, and so you're performing at, your peak, so
yeah.
that you're the best person you can be in life.
Right. And I think it's perfectly okay to tell the boss, or to tell your team, or to tell your children, or to tell your husband, I'm taking a moment.
Hmm.
This is my moment. Don't disturb me. I need this moment. And it's to recognize if she has her moment, she's going to come back more relaxed. If we insist and she doesn't take that moment, fireworks are going to happen. So,
Yeah.
which do you want?
Well, it's being in flow, right? It's
Yes.
being in the natural state of things and recognizing in that present moment what is the most important thing in that present moment. And it could be that you need a break.
And let's face it, the people that, may have a half hour or an hour commute home, sometimes, yes, if you're meditating, you need to close your eyes. No, don't do it. But if you can do it with your eyes open, this is a great time to go through your 3 steps before you get home. You
Hmm.
don't want to take home your angst. You don't want to take home the burdens of the day or the stresses. This is your life you're going home to, right? That's your work. You're going home to your life, and you want to go and really integrate and participate in what's going on there and not bring home with you.
Yeah.
And if you do go home and you still haven't managed to de-stress, just say, okay, this is really heavy on my shoulders today. I need to take more time out,
Yeah.
and be honest and be open and unapologetic that you need to take these moments, because if you don't, you're paying the price. We know that a great deal of disease today is the dis-ease in which
Hmm.
people find themselves, and so stress is a killer, and
Yeah.
brings on anxiety, brings on depression, brings on all the other diseases. Cancer is an 80% disease, mind disease. And the thing is, we've got to actually understand that we can prevent a great deal of this.
Hmm.
Now, a motivational speaker I know, and I've interviewed him, he's wonderful, he's out there all the time really doing wonderful things. He's just found out he has cancer. I
Mm.
have no doubt he's going to get through it, and it's going to be another lesson for him, another part of his journey. Um, so people think that once you're there and you're centered and you've got it all, that nothing's ever going to happen to you. You still get things happen to you, but you're more equipped to deal with them, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it just, you raise the ceiling on life, right? And
Yes.
so, just your problems and the good things in life just keep getting bigger and bigger, right? And so
Yes.
I said to my
Gratitude.
one of my meditation teachers, I'm like, I don't know if I can handle all this energy. Like, there's so much energy. And it was like literally like in this meditative state, it was just like literally blowing out the top of my head.
Hmm.
And so maybe some of you out there know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
It's the Kundalini, Shakti flowing through. And I said, I don't know what to do with it. And she says, well, it's kind of like you have, um, I'll use Ferrari. I don't know,
Yeah.
a really fast engine, right? And then you're still driving your VW Bug. And I'm like, oh. And so she says, you have to grow your container. You have to grow
Mm.
your capacity to handle this energy. So here I was, all this amazing energy was like flowing out of me. I didn't know what to do with it. And I was trying to like bring it back in. I'm like, I need that back, right? And so I was grasping, I was
Uh,
attached to that. But instead, oh, I can just grow my container and
yes.
just
Yes.
be with that in a natural way. And so, you know, as we become more aware, yeah, things are going to get bigger. Things are going to get
Mm.
stronger. Things are going to be amplified. There's going to be, you're going to feel, right? Like you're actually going to feel life. And it can be scary because we're taught not to feel,
Yeah.
oftentimes. And so, you know, how can you grow your capacity to be at ease with all of that? And
And we're meant to raise that energy. That energy out there is what's feeding other people. And
yeah,
when we literally raise our own hertz, our own vibration, we resonate at what I call the love vibration.
yeah.
And it is one that sends out goodwill and loving frequency out to other people. And the bigger it is, the more people it will reach. And people
Mhm.
will feel it and they have no idea it's coming from you or where it's coming from, but it just hits somebody when they open up their channel, when they're
Mhm.
aware that they need it and they open up that channel to love, how
Yeah.
that love then starts seeping into them from nowhere. So
Mhm.
all of that energy, I would love everybody to step into their energy because we need to raise our frequency. You know, we've been down in this frequency for so long where it's hate and war and disagreement and greed and opulence and everything, entitlement. If we don't raise our frequency, we're going to get stuck in there and completely and utterly destroy ourselves. By raising our frequency, we are literally feeding not only each other, but this planet, and we're bringing back an equilibrium that's desperately needed. So
Mhm.
keep that energy going.
Yeah, that's great. Beautiful.
Cruise ship worth.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So can people, how do people find you? What kind of clients do you serve? Where do you serve them, etc.? Please share that with us.
The clients I serve are professionals. They're busy. They have clients, they have families, they serve in their community, and they need time for themselves. They need to give back to themselves. And so you can contact me through my website. And I actually have a retreat coming up at the end of January, a 3-day retreat where we dive into some yoga posture flow. We do meditation every day. We do a little bit of workshopping around how to manage energy, how to so I introduce people how to see your thoughts as energy
Mm, mhm.
and recognize that it's something that you can manage.
Yes.
And so how to manage your energy, and we dive into yoga nidra, guided meditation, and we mentioned a little bit about that
Mm,
last a little while ago, is that excuse me, that sleep based meditation, which is very easy for anybody to do because it's from a lying down position.
mhm.
All you have to do is relax and let go and receive the meditation that I guide you through. And so that's coming up at the end of January. That's going to be really fun. And that's here on the West Coast, on the Sunshine Coast, just outside of Vancouver. And I work, otherwise, I work through this medium, which is, I think
Mm.
we're on Zoom, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, I work one on one with people on Zoom, which is a beautiful way to do it. So I can connect with people all around the world.
Share
Very,
energies.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. You know, you can email me or you can text me. I'm pretty open.
So give your site and give your email.
You can go to Yoga Nidra, so yoga, Nidra, retreat.com. Or no, sorry. It's Bliss Yoga Nidra,
Yeah.
blissyoganidra.com. And then my website, just my general website, is coachaprilria.com. And I'm also on Facebook at that same name. I'm also on LinkedIn. So yeah, lots of ways to get in touch with me, and I'd love to hear from you. And I'm open to just touching base with people and seeing where they're at, and just discovering how we can work together. And
Yeah, it's because there is a synergy of energy, isn't there? This is where I do what I do. But again, going back to the 4 key personalities, you're going to connect with one person over the other. Just because you're speaking the same language there, or you feel a vibration there that really is a connection.
yeah,
And you want to have people that are obviously willing to participate because you can't help them unless they do. People willing to invest in themselves because you
yeah,
can't help them unless they're willing to do that. So going back to the accountability, if we want change, we've got to be first the change we seek so
hmm
we can bring about change elsewhere. And I think this is a very important year, 2020. I mean, it's hard to believe we're in our second decade already.
yeah,
It's unbelievable that we've had 2 decades already in this millennial. We know there's an awful lot of turmoil in the world, but we also know, because I love the Celtic runes Haglas, disruption. You can't have clarity without getting rid of the clutter.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this disruption that's happening in the world, is an invitation for us to step up and say, we don't want this. We want peace. We want unity. We want to look at each other and embrace our differences and not condemn each other for them. And that starts with first ourselves, because if you are actually going to invest in yourself with that kindness, with learning how to breathe, to be aware, that mindfulness, you're going to learn how to love yourself. And that's the love vibration that you project out to other people and share. So it's really, really important. So again, the sites are, there's 2 of them, so let's give them again.
blissyoganidra.com, and nidra spelled Nidra. So blissyoganidra.com. And then my name, so coachaprilria.com.
Excellent. Reach out, folks. Again, through this medium, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you are connecting vibrationally already. And, it's 3 simple steps, but I know for so many people that sometimes the simplicity is where the difficulty is. And, having somebody guide you along the way, helping you along the way, helps you get into the rhythm. Because that's what you want people to get into a rhythm where they can't live without it. It becomes part of their daily practice. But initially, you most certainly need people to help you get there, right?
Yeah, we all do. I
Yes,
didn't get where I am now by
right,
myself, that's
exactly.
for sure.
We all need that mentor. We all need somebody that's going to help us along the way, and somebody who's got a bag, and somebody you can turn to and say, oh, my breathing's all out of whack, or I just
Yeah.
can't, I'm not being aware, or I just, my choices are out of whack because it's not working. And that sometimes is just having somebody help you focus back into your center, right?
Yeah, and one of my superpower is vision, right? So I get to see what you can't see for yourself, and in
Right.
that you have choice, you have freedom, all that good stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that intuitive knowingness,
Mhm.
because really you're a knowingness coach. The knowingness is, that gut. I know, but I don't know why I know. I call that
Mhm.
the soul speaking to us, that resonates with the heart, that
Yeah.
speaks to the spirit in action, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And you're a knowingness teacher for your coaching, and you're going to help people get to the wisdom of their knowledge, not just the knowledge for knowledge's sake.
Yeah. It's perfect. Beautiful. Thank you.
So we will say goodbye on that note.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Sarah.
much, April. This has been wonderful. And 3 simple steps. I mean, we want simple because our lives are complex. And simple starts unraveling all the complexities. So it is
Mhm.
very, very important. It's not 21 steps. There's that 3 easy steps that you incorporate in your life anytime, anywhere. And, with the sleeping, the nidra, yoga, and everything else, and the meditation, just please invest in yourself this year. All right. And Coach April Ria is there to help you. So thank you so much. And until next time, bye for now.
We hope that you enjoyed the show. To find many more shows of inspiration, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com podcasts, and you will see an array of shows to choose from. Please do visit our www.discoveringcommunities.org and see what else that we have in store for you. Do enjoy our next show.